Welcome. How are you all doing? This photo, some people have noticed and many haven't. And I don't know if this 4433 account, which has its 6 million followers, is he doing this without saying this is AI generated? This photo isn't real. You just have to look at it. Look at Courtois' arm. I mean, besides, Alexander Arnold's face looks strange. Rodrigo right now, I think, has longer hair. Do you notice, for example, Arda Güler, who looks like he's just been placed there? I think Valverde doesn't have dyed hair right now. This doesn't mean that there hasn't been a special lunch or farewell dinner for Carvajal. Because he's leaving, because the match against Athletic Bilbao is going to be the last one for this Real Madrid legend. Even though, well, lately, even now that it's known he's leaving and all, on social media, they keep criticizing him. I think that life on social media is a reflection of things that happen too, but not so much. At the Bernabeu, I think Carvajal will be given the farewell he deserves, as it should be. How could it be any other way? And it's going to be very different from all that talk that's been going on throughout this year. Hey, I'm not saying for sure because I don't really know either, but I can imagine that maybe he had some kind of footballer's outburst. Arbeloa is the first to admit it. You can't just rely on the badge. Arbeloa is the first to say this, that he was a football player too, and that he knows how players behave in the locker rooms when things aren't going well for them. And that sometimes later on, when they grow up, when they're older, or maybe when they're coaches, they end up admitting it, not for nothing. Most of them are people who are between 20 and 30 years old. That's not the case with Carvajal, of course, but that's usually how it is in a locker room. And there are always little things, little things. As for not playing, well, you might have a very cold relationship with your coach, but it doesn't go beyond that. That is, there shouldn't be fights, there shouldn't be neglect of duties, maybe as a captain. And it's likely that Carvajal hasn't been perfect in that regard, not at all, just like Casillas wasn't either. But that's because there are only a few good captains. You can be a great player and club legend, but as I said the other day when he received it, but as a captain, well, maybe you're mediocre or not as good as people expect from you, right? And that, of course, doesn't tarnish his record at Real Madrid, not at all. Anyway, I think, yes, there definitely must have been a farewell. But this is not the photo. That's how they wanted to illustrate it. But this is not the photo because it's clear that it's AI generated. Just like it's also a lie what they've started spreading after the news from a few hours ago. Forensic experts say Negreira lacks the cognitive abilities for trial, so his case could be dismissed. Remember that he had a final forensic examination a few months ago to see if he was able to testify. And well, finally, they've come to that conclusion. But they've been selling that idea all month, all along in these last few hours. And also in a way that, of course, you would read a headline. I think El Chiringuito posted a headline on X that was misleading, right? That his case could be dismissed his case, and you say, hey, this is badly written. What does his case mean? The Barcelona Negreira case, the Negreira case. We always put Barcelona first, naturally, right? And this, well, they've already celebrated. They've gone to Canaletas. They've set off fireworks because they think this is going to be dismissed. No, this is a matter that has to do with him, with Negreira. It's a matter that has to do with him, with Negreira. It's one less accused, and that's it. The man is just let go because, unbelievably, he's just let go, just like that. I don't want to think the worst. I want to believe that misleading Chiringuito line isn't all this is, that they actually examined this man and that he may have Alzheimer's. But of course, that possible man, I don't know. I would have liked them to be a little more specific. But anyway, the news says this. The forensic experts, and I've also mentioned Alfonso Perez Medina here because I think he's a serious professional. He's the court's reporter for La Sexta. The forensic experts say that Negreira doesn't have the cognitive abilities to face the trial and his case could be dismissed. The details. The comprehensive report delivered to the judge of Plaza, one of the investigating division of the Barcelona Court of First Instance. It states that Negreira suffers from major mixed-type deterioration, subcortical vascular issues, traumatic brain injury, as well as possible Alzheimer's disease. Well, the thing is that Negreira's defense requested a new examination, and the judge will have to decide whether to agree to dismiss the case against Enrique Negreira for health reasons. But anyway, the remaining accused, including Barcelona as a legal entity, are still involved. Well, this Wednesday, more updates have come out. Here, wait, hold on. According to the report, okay, this is just repeating the same thing. He doesn't have the volitional, damn, first time I've heard that word, and cognitive abilities. That's how we understand it, to comprehend the scope of the judicial proceedings. The report delivered to the judge of court, one of the section, to the investigating judge, Alejandra Gil, states that Negreira is suffering from major mixed-type deterioration, what we read earlier with possible Alzheimer's. In this way, the doctors who examined him last March 24th conclude that both from a psychometric point of view and clinically, there is a worsening compared to the previous examination that was carried out on January 18th, 2024, more than 2 years before. Negreira's defense requested another forensic exam, as the new report states he cannot understand the judicial process he faces. Well, it's going to remain as what this gentleman has been, right? Now, he can't defend himself because he's not in a condition to do so. But anyway, with this analysis, the judge will have to decide whether to agree to dismiss the case against Enrique de Negreira, which his defense is requesting for health reasons. And that's where they leave it. But it's important to make that clear. Yes, the process continues, of course. And I think because I don't know for sure. I'm not a legal professional, but as far as I can understand, I believe so. And because it would certainly be the fairest thing that Negreira's statements to the tax authorities, those that, and I quote, Barcelona paid me to seek neutrality in the refereeing establishment and to make sure no decisions were made against them. Well, those will be the ones. They will be the ones part of the investigation. And yes, because this is key, logically, right? Just as key are the inconsistencies and contradictions in the statements of the accused. Sorry, those charged, those under investigation, and witnesses. Because Laporta is not under investigation since his term ended in 2000, until 2010. And that's where we started, and that's where Debunking began. And that's where, in the penal code, this new accusation comes in, this new type of crime, which is sports corruption. That's why Laporta hasn't been accused of this, right? But come on, he did the same as the rest. In fact, even worse, he quadrupled the payments, right? So, well, but that's my point, the contradictions among all of them. Whether there were reports, whether there weren't, whether he was the one making them. Like Laporta says, for example, the Sun always made them, but no, the Sun didn't make them. He started making them in 2014. It was already a shame, though there are some physical reports. It's still disappointing. And it was terrible because he was the son of the vice president of the referees. In fact, the Sun always wanted to. And even from Barça, because he billed them to the executive, that man, Mr. Contreras, who has passed away, and he rebuilt them to Barça, so that Barça wouldn't have to pay someone with the last name Negreira directly, right? But anyway, from 2001 to 2014, there were reports that Laporta says were made by the Sun, but they weren't made by the Sun because the Sun has already said in that court case that he didn't make the reports. From 2001 to 2014, and then they were verbal reports from the father, which were later invoiced as Pax de Aloe Vera, scouting for the World Cup or for a European Championship before it had even been played, etc., right? That's definitely going to take precedence, but I imagine, right? And when the trial begins, when they refer to Negreira, I understand that both during the investigation of the case and later in the trial, even though Negreira can no longer speak and is no longer accused. Because of what we just explained, they should always mention the version given by the man Barça was paying. Well, this one, the one he told the tax authorities, which is the only thing this man has said about this, and I imagine that back then, if it was 2019, Negreira was still in his right mind. At least nothing was said. Nobody said otherwise at that time, or at least not by the tax authorities. Look, there are a lot of people lately, especially from Barça, who give a lot of importance to what the tax authorities thought in 2021, in 2022. Well, so this, right? When he spoke with them, he was in perfect, in theory, he was in perfect condition and had his faculties, I don't know if fully intact, but at least enough to say what he really thought. That's all for now. Hope things go well for you. Like, subscribe, comment, and share if you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Bye.